You're listening to the Word Slinger Podcast, episode 63, Book Review Targeting with Debbie Drum.
Writing a book. It can be the best way to build or grow your business, or to simply tell the story that you wish to tell. Learn how to write your book in 30 days or less. Pick up 30-day author today from Amazon, Apple iBooks, or other online retailers.
It's the Word Slinger Podcast, where story matters. Build your brand, write your book, redefine who you are. It's all about the story here. What's yours? Now, here's the guy who invented Pants Optional, Kevin Tomlinson, the Word Slinger.
Word Slinger.
Hey everybody, this is Kevin Tomlinson, the Word Slinger. Thanks for tuning in again. I'm going to let you in on a secret. This is a little peek behind the veil. I'm actually standing in my closet right now, so that I can give you guys really the best sound quality I can for this episode, just because this exact moment is the moment that they decided to do a bunch of yard work outside our apartments. So the perils of living in an apartment. And I can only imagine it's going to get worse when we get on the road full time. So working on that. If anyone has any ideas, by the way, for a portable sound booth of some kind, let me know. I have done shows from my vehicle before, and those worked out. So maybe that's just the answer. Maybe that's what I do. So we'll see. So I'm very comfortably nuzzled into a closet. I'm standing. So this will be a short episode. Actually, maybe I should keep it going for like a couple of hours. I need to stand more. Anyway, so at the head of the show, you always hear an ad, and the one that's running right now is for 30-day author, which if you are an entrepreneur who needs a book to kind of help promote your business or even help define your business, that's what I recommend that book for. And that's why I wrote the book. Now, if you're a fiction author or you just want to write, books for a living in general, it's also good for you, and I hope that it's helpful to you. But I will say that it's mostly about developing a daily writing habit. So if you're already a writer, you probably already have a lot of these skills. But if you're looking for some encouragement and a strategy for actually knocking a book out in, 30 days or 15 days or any time frame you like, I highly recommend this book. I wrote it. So right now, however, it's on sale. Today, the day this recording goes live is January 15th, 2016. So as of today through the end of January 2016, you can actually pick up 30-Day Author for just 99 cents on pretty much any platform out there. It's definitely on Amazon. It's on Kobo. And this all started because of Kobo. Kobo offered this as part of its New Year, New You promotion, and I decided I would just kind of extend it to everyone. So now through the end of January 31st, you can pick up 30-Day Author for just 99 cents, and then it goes back to its $4.99 price. So this is a good time to hop on. And if you've been thinking about writing a book as part of your business, as a sort of ultimate business card, or just to help you kind of figure out the strategy of your business or your personal brand, this is a great time to pick that book up. So hope it helps, and enjoy. Now, today, we're going to be talking to, this is an interesting story. You've heard me talk before about the Colony Summit, which was put on by the guys from Self-Publishing Podcast. I attended the Colony Summit in April 2015, and thanks to that event, I made a lot of really strong and powerful connections with their community. Some good friends of mine, actually, and some guests on the show. In fact, we've got one coming up, Monica Leonel, who you will hear her story. And, I met her at that conference. So you'll enjoy that. But today, we're talking to somebody who actually did not attend that conference, but I met her there anyway. And we were in the sort of lobby of the hotel where we were staying. And it was breakfast time now. I've kind of reconstructed that. I may have been drinking. I have no idea. That was a wild weekend. So I met Debbie in the lobby there. She was attending an entirely different event, and she just sort of heard us talking about being authors and entrepreneurs, which is right in her wheelhouse. So I brought her on the show because she's created something, and it's interesting for me, and I'm sure if you are an author, it's going to be interesting for you. But that is the book review targeter, and it's definitely worth checking out. I've been kind of scoping it. I haven't done the deep dive yet. I want to really get into it because I need book reviews, and I've got a few tools for getting reviewers. But I think this is going to really change that game. So I wanted to talk to Debbie about that, and I think you'll enjoy the interview. So stick around after. We'll do the wrap up. But for now, enjoy this chat with Debbie Drum, creator of Book Review Targeter. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. And today I'm talking to somebody. Now, it's weird how things work out because I actually met this person at an event in Austin, but we weren't actually attending the same event. We were actually just in the lobby having drinks, and it just turned out we were both authors. We both share sort of some marketing savvy. So we struck up a conversation, and we've been in touch ever since. And that is Debbie Drum. She is an author and a content marketing expert. She's also the creator of Book Review Targeter. I think I got that right. Book Review Targeter. Mm-hmm. I know I was going to stumble over Targeter because it doesn't roll well. So thanks for being on the show, Debbie.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that day was so random. I remember it like it was yesterday because that was the only time I've been to Austin ever. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was my first time. And I remember having coffee downstairs with my dog, and all these people were talking about book publishing. They weren't even at my table, and of course I had to my ears perked. Yeah. And I had to say, "Hey, what are you guys talking about?"
That's right. It was like breakfast or something that morning.
Yeah, well, when you do a conference, you're you're drinking whenever.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was just thinking. It could have been drinks. The odds were in the favor of drinks. So,
right.
So you're an author, which means you know the special pain points that an author has to deal with. But I like that you've created something from that. So look, I want to jump right in because I'm really interested in this. Tell me a little bit about Book Review Targeter.
Sure. Well, I had the idea, actually, it was back in 2012, and I remember it also very clearly because that was when Hurricane Sandy hit. Okay. And my office was upstairs because we had to redo the whole downstairs. We didn't get massive water, but we had wood floors, so enough to ruin the wood floors that we had to redo everything. Right. So my office was upstairs, and I just remember planning this all out because I had written a couple of fiction books, and I write under a pen name all my fiction, so you'll never find it.
Well, that's a great strategy, Deb.
And I was looking for a strategy to get reviews because, that's one of the things that you need when you publish a book, right? I mean, we spend so much time when we write a book. We spend so much time writing it and proofreading and putting links in, putting images in, right. Editing so much that it's almost like, we know as authors and publishers that that's almost the easy part, right? The hard part is when you actually have to publish and get sales and get noticed when you're starting from pretty much scratch. So I had the idea of, instead of hounding my friends and family, and we all do this, right? We all say, "Hey, neighbor Tracy, can you review my book because I need some reviews, please?" Right. We look for even a handful. I'm not even saying we need hundreds. We just need those starter reviews. Mm-hmm. And so I was scouring Amazon, and I noticed that in other books, in any book, and specifically in my niche, there's a little hyperlink that's under the number of reviewers of other books, right? So you can actually click on that hyperlink to look at reviews that other people have left from other books in your niche, right? So I'm like, that's an interesting link, right? Why? Maybe I could reach out to those people because those people are reviewing books in my niche. So it makes the most sense to reach out to people who are already reviewing books in my niche as opposed to having to ask random people to do me a favor. Right? And those people, I figured, before I even really tackled the research, those people are even better to reach out to, not just because they're leaving reviews, but also because they're potential fans and customers. Right? That's the key thing here. And the interesting part about these people, very, very interesting part about these people, is they're not marketers, right? They're just people. They're people who want to share awesome stuff for the most part. They're what I refer to, I call them influencers. They're people who want to look cool to their friends. They want to share amazing stuff. They want to be the one that looks smart. They want to be the one that makes people laugh. And they do that by sharing stuff that they like. Okay? And they do it for nothing. They do it for nothing. They'll write a blog post about it. Like there's no monetary exchange, and not the topic isn't even brought up, not to bring it there, but just making the point that they really are just real people just sharing cool stuff. So I really wanted to dig into those people who have already left reviews. So I started to do my research, and I was clicking around inside of Amazon, and I noticed that the majority of the people who actually leave reviews, well, let me go back just one step. Everybody, you and I, all of your listeners, probably, because everybody's a customer of Amazon, everybody buys stuff on Amazon, right? We all have what's called a buyer profile. And Amazon doesn't really do a great job of telling us, hey, you have this buyer profile and you can fill it out and you can put your contact information and you can even put a picture of yourself, and it shows like all of your past reviews, things like that. So it's all public information, right? You just have to dig a little bit into each individual person, okay? So I found that most of these people who leave reviews specifically, or most of the customers on Amazon, they don't have their contact information filled out. So it would be near impossible to go to a specific reviewer. Yeah, sure, you could see their name. Sometimes their name is not even real. And you can see the review they left, you can see the star ratings, but you can never contact them because there's no way for you to even contact them, right? So because there's no contact information. So I started digging a little bit more through each reviewer, and I'd find maybe like 1 out of, it's just so random, like 1 out of 10, maybe even less, have their contact information. So can you imagine, going to a book, let's say another fiction book in your niche, and there are 2,000 reviewers. You would literally have to click into each individual reviewer to actually see if they have contact information or not. And my research has shown and proven that about 10% of the people have contact information. So if you have a book with 200 reviews, you're roughly going to get 20 contacts out of those reviewers. Okay? So I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to sift through all this information? If I did it myself, that would be impossible, because 2,000, okay, if you went through 2,000, you'd probably get 200, right? But
that seems generous. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And that would probably take you several hours to do, and you wouldn't be able to get anything else done, really. And it would be just tedious and boring. Paying somebody, yeah, sure, you can pay someone, but it's like, who the heck wants to do that too? And at the end of the day, it wouldn't even pay to pay someone. So that's when I reached out to a program and I said, hey, is there a way that we can actually, build a tool that can scour these reviewers and pick out the ones that have contact information instead of, a a person doing it, it would be completely automated. And that's where the idea came from for a book review targeter. And yeah.
And I think one of the things that I kind of like about it is, well, like I said, you're an author yourself, so you understand the sort of pain and almost misery that comes along with, I've written this book and now I have to go out and market it. Well, that may not be my skill set. I may be pretty good at telling a story, but I may not be so great at going out and figuring out the intricacies of creating a marketing campaign. So I like that aspect of it.
Yeah, and you know what? It's so true because authors, publishers, we should not, or anyone really, they should not be doing stuff that's not their strong point. You know what I mean? So the thing that hurts me the most is when I talk to a lot of authors and they get really, really excited about their book, but it's like, I know deep down that the book isn't even going to be read if certain things aren't put in place.
Right.
Okay, and reviews are in the top 3.
Right.
It's the top 3 for me is cover, description, reviews. I mean, those are the first 3 things that people see when they land on your Amazon sales page. Of course, there's the look inside, and there's whole strategies there too. Mm-hmm. But reviews, I mean, if you just think of the world that we live in today, right? I mean, we can't do anything without reading another person's experience. Like, would you ever go to, travel somewhere and just like, all right, maybe you're in another city or whatever, and you're planning a dinner. Would you not open Yelp first before you actually, went and experienced and wanted a good meal? Mm-hmm. And maybe you had like 10 different choices of the same cuisine. You're opening Yelp. I'm sorry.
Right. Or something equivalent.
Something equivalent, right. Doesn't even have to be. I mean, everything has reviews. Yeah. I wouldn't stay at a hotel anymore without reading reviews because of, the critters that you find in these places. Like, it's everywhere. It's everything. And we want to make the most out of our life. We have precious time, and we could do anything with our life. We could go to the TV now and watch whatever we want, whenever we want. Right. And we want to make sure that we're using our time wisely. So we want to see other people, what did they experience? Did they have a great experience? Because I want to have a great experience, or did they not have a great experience? And we're not talking about, especially when it comes to books, we're not talking about 5-star reviews. You don't need like 100 5-star reviews, but you need reviews because think of the psychological factor here. If you have 2 books side by side in the same niche, one book has 100 reviews, the other book has 1 review. Which one are you going to naturally gravitate to?
Right.
The one with 100, because it's the social, experience of it all. It's what drives us now. Yeah. Everything is social.
Yeah, it's that whole social proof idea. And reading a book in particular is such a time investment that we don't want to invest, the money or the time if we're not going to enjoy it. And there's no way to determine that in advance. So social proof becomes very important.
Exactly. And, like I said, sometimes even like all 5-star reviews look a little suspicious too.
Yeah.
People want to see that variety. They want to see, they just want to see the experience. They don't want to like necessarily see, oh, this book is perfect. You should buy it right now.
Right. Yeah, there is an argument out there that a few 1-star reviews add to the legitimacy of it, of the reviews. I actually had a guy recently who didn't really accuse me. I guess he wrote something in a review that he thinks that all the reviews were being paid for or something along those lines, which is completely not true, but because everyone seemed to like the book. So he didn't like the book as much. So, all right. So give me some of the like mechanics of how this thing works. Like what exactly does the book review targeter do?
Okay, yeah.
And I knew I was going to stumble over it again, even though I'm looking dead at it. What it has is a red line under it, so it's messing with me.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Okay, so yeah, so the tool is web-based, and so it's password protected and everything. And you go in there, and everyone has their own account, and you simply, I'm a huge fan of simple. Anything that's complicated is not fun to me.
Right.
So you literally see a screen that says type in your keyword. So you type in your keyword, let's say like it's science fiction or cowboy romance, whatever floats your boat there. And when you put in this keyword, a bunch of Amazon books will populate. And then it'll show you how many reviews. It kind of looks like Amazon when it opens up in the screen. And by the way, Amazon has, without getting too technical, Amazon has what's called an API, which allows another system to pull their data. Okay, so this is all completely above board. We're interacting with Amazon because Amazon allows you to do that, so... this is nothing that's gray hat or anything like that. So no worries there.
Yeah.
So you'll see the number of reviews next to each book, and you say, hey, okay, wow, this book has, some of these books have like 18,000 reviews or in the thousands. I mean, could you imagine
I want to strangle somebody.
Instant access to those particular people? I mean, that's gold right there.
Right.
It's gold. So basically you press a plus button because that will activate the program to go ahead and start fetching those emails. Okay. So you literally just press a few buttons, you walk away because the software is doing its thing in the background, and when it's done, you get an email, and it's usually within the hour or less, and you get an email, and then you're ready to start contacting these people. And what the software does is it extracts emails and it extracts websites. So some people have their email and their website listed. Some people only have their email. Some people only have their website.
Right.
So obviously, if they only have a website, you would have to kind of go to their website to contact them because we don't have their email if they don't list it.
Right.
But that's still such valuable information. I mean, think about it. If you have somebody's website, you could check them out, and you could possibly be a guest blogger on that website. Some of these people are like owners or heads of like book clubs.
Right.
So they can like buy your book in bulk with one recommendation. It's like really like, it's so cool. Because, and also like there are so many things that you can do or ways to make money above and beyond just getting those additional reviews. Because the more reviews, the more sales. Okay. Right. There's a direct correlation. Go look at the top 100 books on Amazon and you'll see that the top books have a lot of reviews. Okay.
Yeah.
So these people will buy your books, okay? You can also, like, let's say some people, they're authors and let's say they're coaches. Well, they might have their book as a lead magnet. And guess what? If you find somebody who's targeted to like your kind of book and they actually pick it up and read it, you can possibly get yourself a new client that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that could be in the thousands of dollars depending on how much you charge for your coaching.
Right.
So, I mean, I hope that people are really seeing the possibilities. Um, my plan for 2016, I mean, this is like kind of like the oldest way of marketing, but it still works today. And it's really like just one-to-one connecting. It's
Yeah.
so important to like, everyone says like, oh, I have to go build a list. I have to get millions and millions of people on my list. You don't need millions of people on your list. You need targeted people and reaching out to people individually, like kind of like you and I did, right? How
Exactly. Yeah.
powerful is that?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, and that's what it's like. It's that simple. People
Right.
want to overcomplicate things way too much. Where it's just like, okay, every day, for the next 365 days, talk to somebody that you don't know that's in your niche,
Right.
and where will you be in a year?
At least 365 people more ahead, right?
Exactly.
If you can get each one of those people to review your book, then you're pretty good.
I mean, really. I mean, it's like it's very powerful, the connections that you can make if you're talking to the right people.
Right.
And this is what the tool does. It finds the right people. So, yeah. So, when the email is found, then you could actually you can export those emails into like your own like a CSV file, and you could import those into an autoresponder. The whole point is that this isn't spam. This isn't like, hey, buy my book. This isn't, hey, get on my list. This is a friendly message.
Right.
And I give templates too, like exactly what you should be saying, because the thing that makes this work is the, hey, I'm an author, I've written this book, and I think because you reviewed this other book, you might be interested in my book. Hey, my book is free today. Would you like to download it and possibly review it?
Right.
And that's it. That's the conversation.
That's cool. Yeah, and you're doing that now. So how effective is it? How are you getting a lot of reviews on your books this way?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing it, but not only that is the people who have purchased the software are doing it.
Yeah.
And they're fine. I mean, I had somebody who found results within the first half an hour of using the tool the day that it launched.
Right.
I had people who said, hey, most people are leaving their reviews on Saturday. So I like to give them the book by Wednesday or Thursday, give them a couple of days. And then I'm seeing my book reviews double on the weekends.
Wow. Yeah. That's nice.
Yeah. And, just think about it. Like, what are we resorted to do as authors? Resorted to, again, beg our friend. Even Amazon is cracking down on people that are frequently reviewing the same books.
Yeah.
Right? From the same authors. I mean, I don't know too much about their algorithms or anything like that, but all I know is that that's not flying anymore on Amazon.
Right.
And a lot of things aren't flying. They're cracking down. Like, if you go on Fiverr right now or later and type in review my book, there's all these Fiverr gigs that come up.
Yeah.
And that's completely against Amazon terms. And, we know a lot of authors who got their big start, by buying reviews.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. John Locke comes to mind.
Exactly.
So,
and he admits it too, right? But, I guess he didn't know better.
yeah,
right?
of course, at the time, I don't think that was actually, it might have still been against their policy. Who knows? But
it was so the beginning that
Yeah.
nobody even knew that was happening, I'm sure.
it may not have even occurred to him that was wrong at the time.
You're right. You're right. I mean,
So,
yeah.
we all missed out on that little gold rush.
Yeah.
If only we could turn back time. So, all right. How do you see this fitting into sort of the larger landscape of, there are a lot of products being developed for authors, and it's kind of muddy waters, honestly. So how do you see this sort of fitting into that ecosystem?
Well, let me tell you this. There is no other tool on the market that does what Book Review Targeter does.
Right.
There's no other tool. And any developer would be crazy to do it because it's not an easy task. Okay, it really isn't. And if Amazon changes one little thing, then that means that your programmer has to go in and make changes to accommodate what Amazon decided to do.
Right. Yeah.
So, as far as the other programs out there, I know that there are a lot of great ones, and they give you all this information about book ranking and this, and that, but it has really nothing. I mean, you could see the total number of reviews, which might be helpful, but there's no way to dig into that information other than using Book Review Targeter. So this is a specific tool. It's not going to give you anything fancy like anything else, really, like any analytics about sales ranks, things like that. It's only about reviews.
Right. So, okay, you brought this up, so I want to explore this a little. I mean, I'd love to know what went into the development, like, what you had to deal with in the development of this, but I'm also curious, like, what's the plan if, because Amazon is known to change the way they do things. They're known to change the API. I mean, yeah. I've got 100 different services I use, and every time Amazon does an update, they go offline for a few months. So, do you have a strategy in place for that?
Well, actually, there was a significant change a couple months ago, which we weren't offline, but we were acting a little bit different as advertised, because what Amazon decided to do was it decided to on every profile, what used to be is that the email address would just be shown to the plain sight. They switched that and they turned that into a send an email link, which opens up your email client. It's a hyperlink. Okay. So, if we can't see the email address, and you only had to be logged on to see that email address. It wouldn't work if you weren't logged on. So our software isn't a person. So it wasn't logged on. So it couldn't take that email.
Right.
But I'm working with a brilliant programmer. Knock on wood, I found somebody who is just brilliant, who worked around that. So what we were doing was, when we couldn't see the email addresses, we were just linking to the profile. So it still did the job because it isolated who had contact information. Mm-hmm. It just didn't show the email in the system.
Right.
So we worked around that and actually came up with a great solution for that. So because I'm working with somebody who is very smart, and we are partners too, so he's got some skin in the game as well, which I think is very important for anybody who's looking to develop software. Like, you really need to make sure that your programmers are happy, because you want them to put, heart into your project.
Right.
And if they're seeing money, then that's a really good thing as well. So, the great part about that change, though, the amazing part about that change that Amazon did was Amazon still realized that email part needed to be there. If they didn't want people emailing, then they would have just removed that completely, right?
Right.
But the fact that they actually changed it to another format where you could still contact that person, but you just needed to click on an email link as opposed to copying their email address, it made it, like it was still important to have.
Right.
So they're probably not going to get rid of that. I'm not saying that they're definitely not. I'm on Amazon.
Right.
So obviously there are no guarantees, but it's a really good sign that, that's probably they're probably never going to do away with that.
Yeah. At least we can hope.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
You're right. So, okay. what are sort of the steps? Because I know a lot of people listening to this are probably, there are a million ideas. We all know this. And there's probably a million product ideas for authors in particular. So what goes into developing a product like this?
Like the behind the scenes?
Yeah, someone just not to mimic your product, but I mean to, you know, if someone wanted to develop something similar or something, you know, a service like this for authors or anyone else, I mean, how do you get started with something like that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a loaded question because I have a couple of softwares. This isn't my only software. And some are easier than others. Like this one is like a little bit more constant maintenance.
Right.
And some of the other, like I've developed plugins and I've developed Adobe Air software. And you really just need to find and work with smart people. The biggest mistake that anyone could really make is dealing directly with people when you don't understand. It's like speaking another language, right? When you're dealing with a programmer, because you don't understand that language. So if you were speaking with somebody and they spoke Chinese and you only spoke English, like how much would that work? It wouldn't work, right? So a lot of times it's good to either have a really, smart programmer who you can communicate with and they'll explain everything to you and be patient, or you need to really have that middleman, of a person who interacts with your programmer and interacts with you. Because, that makes a successful project, I think.
Right. Yeah. How did you end up finding your programmer?
Through Odesk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which no longer exists, which is now Upwork.
Upwork, I mean.
Yeah.
I'm still, I'm old school.
No, I know. Me too. I catch myself every now and then. But I also, when Odesk and Elance merged, it generated a lot of headaches for me. So I guess I probably harkened back to those days. Like, I'd love to go back to the easier, simpler days of Odesk.
Yeah, right?
So, yeah. So, okay. Now, I use Odesk, I use Upwork for, I find all kinds of contractors that way. And I've talked to tons of people about how to use services like that to find good contractors. Like, what did you use to sort of ferret out the good versus the bad on that service?
Actually, I had some help with some questions to ask.
Okay.
Which was nice. And because I was working with another programmer before I found my new programmer.
Right.
So he helped me kind of construct the questions. And if you're doing it alone, like I said, like, how are you going to learn another language without Rosetta Stone? Like,
right.
It's just impossible. So you need help. Like, what questions do you ask people? Like, when you're developing or you want to develop a software, you need to know there's like, I don't even know. There's like over 10 different languages, programming languages that you could program in. So you have to know, you can't just say, I'm looking for a programmer. You have to say, I'm looking for a PHP programmer. I'm looking for, an Adobe Air programmer.
Right.
So you need, otherwise, if you're making this mistake, you're just going to be, taken for granted.
Right.
You really are. And you're going to be paying for stuff that you don't even know that you're paying for.
Right.
That's the scariest part about this whole thing, being ignorant about not knowing what you should know.
Right. Yeah, and it's difficult to mitigate that because, without going out and learning all of it yourself, you sometimes don't have a way to know if you're being taken advantage of or not.
Right.
It's like taking your car to a mechanic. If you don't know anything about the car, if you don't know how an engine's supposed to work or, any of the mechanics, he can tell you anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with programmers.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'll give you one more piece of advice about programming. No programmer will say that they can't do something. That always will say they can do it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay? And you feel really good. Oh, great. This guy's going to do everything for me. Or this girl's going to say she do this, and that.
Yeah.
They never say no.
Right. Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. So the qualifier there is, okay, how are you going to do it? And see what they say.
Yeah, but if you don't understand what they're saying back, you're still at a loss.
Yeah, but at least if the guy is stammering and just kind of making stuff up, you can kind of tell it. But if he's telling you, yeah, I'm going to pull a 3/4 Magmar flange from the sweep squaw or whatever, and it sounds completely intelligible, then you probably got to get an okay guy. And then you can create benchmarks with the guy. So.
Oh, yeah, that's another. Sometimes benchmarks don't even exist, and it's like the unfortunate part about this. In all seriousness, is sometimes once you hire somebody, it's like they fall off or they don't communicate as well. Like the number one thing you want to find in somebody that you're working with, a programmer, is communication. Like, if they're not communicating back, it's very frustrating. Very, very frustrating.
Right, yeah. And I think that's a pretty good rule of thumb, though, that there should be, lots of communication and lots of checking in. I'm dealing with a scenario right now where I've got a guy is doing some work for me, but I haven't heard from him in a couple of months. And I'm starting to get worried, and so... Anyway.
Probably not a good sign.
Yeah, it's not good when they disappear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you've already paid them some money. But
yep.
It's almost unavoidable to have to pay them something to get started.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So, I mean, I don't know if you're comfortable talking about this, but I mean, speaking of money, I mean, what did it take, cost-wise to develop something like this? How much time did this take?
Well, this project, it took a while because it was more complicated than I thought it would be.
Right.
So, this was a little bit daily, but, nonetheless, I focused on managing the product or the project, I should say. Mm-hmm. And I, got my own stuff done still. I just probably had a little bit more hours put in. Needed a little bit more support, which is good because I've been reading. I'm all up on the 4-hour work week.
Right.
So I'm really trying to implement that more, which got me into getting a help desk person, which is nice, and just learning how to let things go. And it's funny how that happens because the busier you get, you're kind of forced to do that, right? And so the launch went really well. It was great. And what you got to do now is constantly be what I'm trying to do is get on webinars to sell as many copies. And the thing is that I'm really still excited about it because it's not something that was good yesterday and it's not going to be good next year. It's still going to be good. It's not like an old tool that no one wants to use anymore.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it really exciting. So there's so many authors that I know that if I got in front of them, they would utilize this tool.
Right.
So, and that's something that you need to calculate as well.
Yeah.
It's funny because when I was building the software, I had spoken to my ex-CEO, who is very successful. I mean, he just sold his old company for, I think, $180 million. And it was a SaaS, software as a service.
Right.
That was the company I used to work for. It was called Smart Tuition. And so I called him up. I'm like, I'm having all these software problems. This was before it launched. He said to me, he says, people don't have software problems. They don't have programming problems. They have sales problems. So at the time when he said that, I said to myself, no, I'm pretty sure I have a software problem. I'm pretty sure. In my head, right? He doesn't know what the F he's talking about. And then 3 weeks later, I woke up, I'm like, that's what he meant. Is you need sales to maintain your programming, right?
Right.
You need sales. You need sales coming in.
Right.
And that's exactly what he meant, because, anything could really be fixed if you throw money at it, right?
Right. Gosh, you could think of this. You could think of writing in the same way, really. People don't have
Exactly.
writing problems; they have sales problems. So
Exactly. Right? Like, sell more copies of your book and you have more time to write and be
exactly.
right.
And
Hire somebody
if
for
you
you.
yeah, and if you use a book review targeter, you can sell more copies of your book, and then that gives you more time.
Yes. That's
It's,
definitely the results that we've seen to kind of tie this all together.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we live in a social world, and
Right.
we have all these things that we're doing now to get exposure, but this is another thing that we can do to literally, like, book review targeter. Target is like the word of internet marketing online. Target.
Right.
Because you can't just say, "Hey, review my book or you'll love it." It's the target market that you're after.
Right.
If you're writing books on, I don't know. I was gonna say some genre, but you have to know, like, if you're writing a book and you're targeting men between the ages of 30 and 45 who like hiking on the weekends, like, that's your target market.
Right.
Women between the ages of 60 and 75 aren't your target market.
Right.
So that's, I think, like, is so important for people to kind of realize, like, who are they after? And a lot of the times they're going to find these people, they're buried inside of Amazon.
Right.
We just have to extract them, right?
Yeah.
Uncover them. And that's what this tool will do for you.
Awesome. All right. So, and you are offering this, and you gave me a pretty looking link and everything to, so that people can kind of hop on and try this out at it looks like a pretty drastically reduced price up front. So you want to talk a little bit about the, I guess this is a webinar special?
Yeah, it's a webinar special. It's like a presentation kind of special. Anytime I go on like a webinar or a podcast like this, I try to give a special deal. And normally it is a yearly fee because of the maintenance factor. But for the folks who are working with, like you, who are referring your subscribers, listeners, I've put together this awesome deal, and it's a lifetime deal.
Okay.
And what is that, DebbieDrum.com/Kevin.
That's what I got. And I'll put the link in the show notes.
Awesome.
That's
Yes.
awesome. Yeah. That's a good deal too. I'm looking at it now. It's listing, it says only $147 for a $1,500 annual value. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, and I have some other bonuses in there that for like the first 15 people who take action, they're like just additional things that I wanted to throw in just to help. One of the trainings in there is I call Book Review Targeter 2.0, which talks about how you can make money. I kind of touched on some of those points today.
Yeah.
How you money above and beyond reviews. So just like connecting with people, the social media, or getting people that you're connected to take advantage of your services, things like that, where you never would have found them before if you didn't use the tool, which is really cool.
It's fantastic. All right, that's awesome. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up because we're at the end of our time. But Debbie, I really appreciate you being on, and I appreciate the big offer you're making to my listeners. Listeners, if you get a chance, you should definitely check this out if you are an author, and you should be. I think pretty much everyone should be an author. I think I've pitched that before. But hop on, and you'll be able to see all the links to everything we discussed in the show notes, including this link. And if you're driving and you just want to jot this down without killing anybody, please, you can go to DebbieDrum.com/Kevin. That's DEBBIE drum, as in the kind of drum you play, an instrument.com/Kevin. And that will be in the show notes, so you'll be able to click there. Debbie, thanks so much for being on the show with me. I'm really interested in this. I think this is the kind of tool I can get behind because I love things that help authors do the work they love. So thanks for creating a great product.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
All right. And everyone else, stick around for the wrap-up, and we will see you next week. All right. That was my chat with Debbie Drum, and I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed meeting her, first of all, because it's always cool to run into people who share your passions and your interests, no matter where you meet them. But that was a great weekend. That was kind of a life-changing weekend, so I'm glad she was a part of it. I'm glad that she's now kind of a part of the word slinger, what would we call it? The word slinger stratosphere or something, ecosystem. We'll call it that. Word slinger ecosystem. So, but I hope you enjoyed that interview. And I know I do a lot of stuff that's author focused on this show, and that's because that's where I am. But I am interested to hear what you're interested in as well. So if you would give me a call, you can reach me, of course, at 281-809-WORD. That's 281-809-9673. You can also hook up with me online at wordslingerpodcast.com where there's a send voicemail button right there floating on the right-hand side where you can send me a message via SpeakPipe. But I get a lot of emails, so you can feel free to email me from there. And the recent emails I've gotten, you guys I love that you're reading my blog. So thanks for the comments. Thanks for the words of encouragement. I get a lot of people just essentially excited about this road, journey that we're going to take, that Kara and I are going to get on, this RV life. And, we're closer to that than ever. I wish we were already on the road a lot of the time, but I'm trying to enjoy the journey to get there as much as anything. Yesterday, I actually took the camper in. I took my truck and camper in, the small camper, the temporary portable camper. We took all that in so I could get the brake controller adjusted and fixed, and turned out it hadn't actually been installed properly, so I'm glad I took it in. So little things like that, and I got a chance to kind of set the camper up and get inside. It's been nice and cool here in the Houston, Texas area in Sugar Land. I got the little fan going, got the windows open, and it was, a nice, cool 60 degrees outside and sunny and enjoyable. So I got a chance to kind of, chill. I was in the parking lot of our apartment, but it was still like being on the road. And so I really dug that. So we're getting geared up. At the end of January, we'll actually be taking the first of our long road trips. We're gonna spend about 10 days on the road. We're gonna head for Orlando. We're celebrating our 10-year anniversary, so this is a chance for us to, get out and live a little bit of this dream, while also celebrating 10 years of marriage. And I'm sure she's not listening, but Kara, my love. Thanks so much for putting up with me. Thanks for being the power behind the Word Slinger. And I'm glad that I'm glad that we're going on this journey together, but the more important thing to me is that we're doing it together. So thanks so much. I love you. And, I look forward to another 10, 20, 100 years, however many we can squeeze out of this life. So anyway, that said, I'm a little choked up. That said, I wanted to thank you also, listeners, for tuning in, sticking around this long. And I hope you're enjoying the show. I've got a lot more great interviews coming up, which I know you'll love. So please do tune in every week. Stick around. I got some cool ones. So you're definitely going to want to be here. So, and if you're out there just kind of looking for other things to listen to, I'm starting to pop up on a lot more podcasts as an interviewee, I guess. For instance, the most recent is my interview on the Happen to Your Career podcast, with Scott Barlow, and I actually have interviewed him for this show. That's going to be coming up, but he just released that episode this week. So if you want, tune into that. You can check the show notes. I'll have a link to it. And otherwise, you're going to find me all over the place, I think, pretty soon. I'm starting to pop up. So if you have any ideas for podcasts or radio shows or anything else I can appear on, just let me know. I'm trying to get out and spread the word about word slingerness. And also, I'm building something you're going to be interested in. If you're at all interested in the RV stuff, I'm building something that I'm calling the Portable Life. And I think you're going to dig it. So stick around. I'll give you more details on that as it evolves. But we're already pretty far along. I think it's going to be launching soon. If I know me at all, I will do an official launch very soon. So take care of yourselves out there. Have a wonderful weekend, week, whatever's coming up for you. God bless you all, and I'll see you next time.
Word Slinger.